Hey, hello everybody. This video is going to help you to understand how to do the GDP and life expectancy worksheet. Now to start, the first thing you have to do is you need to go to this website. So click on that. It'll take you to a website that looks like this. You're going to start out and make sure you're in the year 1800. That's important for what we're doing. And let's look at the questions. So the first page, we're getting some data here. And we're adding in data for 1800 and for 1800 here. And then we'll go on to 1900, 1950, 2018. I'll show you the actual numbers as we get through. And the first part is going to be income, which means gross domestic product, as we've talked about, per capita. So the value of goods and services divided by the number of people. Life expectancy will be the average number of years a newborn child would live if born in that year. And so this is average. Some people will die young, some will die old, but this is your average. Okay. We're going to look at how these numbers change over time. Now for each, you can pop in the number. You can just click and add it here. Or if you want to, you can, get rid of that and put it there, however you want. You'll add in your numbers as we go along. So here we go. Well, let's start. So we're at 1800. Now along this axis, we see the life expectancy. And this axis here, we see the income. And you'll notice that 1800 is pretty low. Most countries are under 40 years old. There's very few that are above. And the income at most is, maybe what, 38, 40 Iraq. Oh, that's really high. Something was going on well there for a second. All right, so that's what we see. So we're going to have to figure out, okay, how much do we think is in each category? So let's start with income. The income levels are going to be here. So income level 1 goes to this here. All right, so that little one right there. So most of it's over there, obviously. Okay, and then our life expectancy, what percentage is under 40? 40 to 55, 56 to 70, above 70. And when we look in 1800, well, it's almost all under 40. So here's what we have for our numbers there. For the income, we see about 99% is in that income level 1. Most people are under $2 a day, not making a lot of money. There wasn't a whole lot of money to be made in 1800 in terms of what we're used to now. A lot more inflation has changed the value of money and things like that. So that's what we have for your income. You can pause this if you need to. Life expectancy, we have about the same. 99% is in that first under 40 category. And so there wasn't a real high life expectancy. And that's because there were so many babies and children that died at a very young age. We've obviously seen that change over time. All right, so let's go back. You filled in your 1800 for each. If you haven't, go back in the video. Now we're going to go to 1900. So here we go. Let's watch the changes. Now you can see the different colors tell you different countries, things like that. That's the United States right there. And here we go, 100 years. So you'll see changes. Watch the United States around 1860. Probably going to see the the Civil War impact life expectancy. Yep, there's a dip. And we've seen lots of movements here and there. Finally starting to see a rise in life expectancy there. So let's go back to 1900, and here are your numbers. So you'll notice a few things. We have seen a fair number of countries move into this level 2. A couple have moved into level 3 for income, so that's good. You'll see it's predominantly England. So you think about, or not England, Europe. You can try to figure out, well, why would Europe be ahead? Life expectancy, we've moved a lot of countries above 40, actually, a fair number. So, you have to figure out how many are in each category. And life expectancy, what changes do we see there? And it's not all going to be the 40s in income level 1. So when we look at our numbers, here's what we get. For income, we have 79% are still in that first category, but about 20% moved out, which is great. And 1% moved into level 3. So some changes there. And 1900 here, we have about 14% are moving out of the under 40 age. And we have 15% now in this group here. So life expectancy has improved. in the last 100 years there, and so has income. And you'd hope those things would happen. So now 1900 and 1950. Now this is a time period with a lot of technological changes. You see cars, you see airplanes, you see atomic weapons, all these different things coming into play. Let's see what happens here for a change. Wow, World War I. Here's World War II. How made everything shift around. So let's go back and look at that World War I. You can see the dramatic impact that it has on life expectancy. Look at these go down. It's like the whole world in that second just dropped because of all the people that died in the war. But you'll notice the income didn't change a whole lot, and that's because wars cost a lot of money. So we're moving. World War II, here it comes. Oh, a lot. Not everybody shifted like we did before. Okay, so what do we see? Well, we have a lot higher numbers here. If we go back to 1900, look at, we're barely breaking 50. And by 1950, wow, we got countries that are breaking 60, some breaking 70, which is great. So life expectancy dramatically shifts in those 50 years. We're seeing a couple more countries in income level 3. A ton of them are in income level 2 here. Actually, I read that wrong. Here's level 2 between these two. Here's level 3. Look at all the countries in level 3. We even have 4. What is it? Brunei. There you go. All right. So when we look at our stats here, our income, 51% in the first category, 36% in the second, 13% in the third. So, in 50 years, we have 24% drops out here, and we have major shifts going on. So income continues to increase in terms of productivity and life expectancy. This is a massive change. Nobody was living 56 to 70. Now a third of the world is, right? We had 15% here, now it's 38. And before, the majority of people lived under 40 on average. Now it's only 25%. So massive health changes between 1900 and 1950 to make things better, which is great. And then we're on to our last one. So here we go, 1950 to now. Look at the shift up and outward. We're seeing massive transitions in the amount of money available and the number of years people live. You can see China making its move. Wow, crazy. So a lot of movement there. We started, everybody was under 40. Now we got so many countries above 60, just almost everybody. And, even Africa's not doing as well as a continent with money, but we still see their average lifespan has shifted dramatically upward, which is a great thing to see. So when we look at our numbers for 2020, 2018 is what I have here. Look at that shift. 18, 23, 20. Look, we had nobody in the 32 or above before, and now it's 39%. So big change there. And here above 70, we go from 4% to 64%. Wow. And nobody is under 40 in the world, which is amazing. And so huge shifts again in the lifespan, big shifts again in the money. So I'm going to go back, play that from start to finish for you, just so you can see it all in motion, because it's pretty cool. And you'll see some of the money shifts when you have famines and other things. Some of these things are probably famines when they drop down, when you have a civil war in a country, World War I, World War II there. Really interesting to watch. This is a great tool. You can go in and watch individual nations and see how they change in different regions and things like that as well. So that's what we see for our shift. Let's go back and see what else we have for our worksheet here. So you filled these in. Hopefully you're filling them in. If you're not, go back and do that. Based on the chart above, what trend do we see happening over time with both GDP and life expectancy? That should be really easy. Do you think GDP and life expectancy changes are connected? So do you think it makes sense that what happened together? Over time, what do you see happening in the gap between the rich and poor nations? So if we look at 1800, look at the span in terms of up and down for years, life expectancy, and across for, the gap between the poor nations over here and the rich nations over here. And now look at it in 2020. So what are you seeing in terms of the gap between the poorest and the richest in 2020? This way and this way as compared to 1800. Is it getting bigger? Is it getting smaller? Okay. When you see this change in the difference of GDP between rich and poor nations, what will that likely mean for the resources available to residents in the rich versus poor nations? So what does it mean in 2020 when some nations are over here with, $57,000, $58,000 worth of goods, and others like the Democratic Republic of Congo are over here with 845? So what does that mean for life and getting the resources you need? All right, 5, life expectancy and GDP per capita both increased dramatically between 1950 and 2018. What are some possible ways increased GDP may have fueled an increase in life expectancy in this time period? So what are 3 possible ways that having more goods and services being produced could have led to higher life expectancy? And number 6, agree or disagree, increased GDP will lead to better living conditions for all citizens in a country. Do you agree? Will all citizens of the country do better if GDP increases? Write 3 sentences saying yes and supporting that, or write 3 sentences saying no and give your argument there. So that's what we got. Again, the graphs I'm showing you, here is the link to go there and look at them yourself. This video is linked right here, and we should be good to go. Have a great day, everybody. Ask me questions if you have them.